And we're live.
And we're back. Welcome.
Back to TAE Time.
How are you guys doing? You having good whatever it is? You know?
It's whatever.
It's whatever.
It's whatever. Sorry, just have a bit of fluff.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's whatever. Hope you're all having a good time, having a nice whatever day you're watching this, whatever time you're watching this. And, you've just been enjoying the episodes. Let us know what you think. We took your suggestion and we, on YouTube anyway, we've set the videos to be the same numbers as the Spotify one, so it's perfect. It's in sync now. Hope you're all happy with that. And, we're back for another episode of the TAE Time Podcast.
Happy to have you back.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a interesting, spicy one this time. Like, it's one of those things where we are going to be talking about something that's kind of on trend right now. Like, if you've been on the internet, whether it's Twitter, whether it's TikTok, whether it's anywhere, you've been seeing all the memes of like you girls using like the beard filter and then being like a male, doing the having their own male podcast and having all the memes, It's like, yeah, so it's all about like how women do this and women do that and whatever, So yeah, no, that's what we're here to talk about. Just kind of like the whole podcasting, male podcasting trend, and how all these, like, where it kind of started from, our takes on some of the topics that they cover and all these things. But like, like at first it was kind of like the big, Joe Rogan versus Call Her Daddy thing,
That was
like,
a thing?
Yeah, well, as in girls would be like, oh, if he listens to Joe Rogan, that's a red flag. Remember, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
And then,
I thought you meant like, oh, there was like a war between Call Her Daddy versus...
Well, technically pseudo, because people would be like, oh yeah, if you listen to Joe Rogan, it's a red flag. And they're like, oh, Call Her Daddy's the female equivalent of Joe Rogan. So if she listens to Call Her Daddy, that's red flag. Or
oh, really? Wait, do males say that?
Someone said that in the comments, because that's like a rebuttal.
Oh, okay, but as a rebuttal, but like, do you think that?
I've never really listened to Call Her Daddy, so I couldn't even make that.
So you don't know anything about Alex Jones?
Alex Jones? Alex Cooper, no?
Alex Cooper? Who's Alex Jones? Wait, was Alex Jones the guy who was on Joe Rogan?
Something Jones. Yeah, I can't remember his first name.
Sorry,
but he's the one that's like this. These chemtrails.
That's the one.
They're putting stuff in the water to make the frogs turn gay.
See, because clearly I don't watch Call Her Daddy either, so.
Yeah, I know. Page. So I don't really have that much input on Call Her Daddy. Like, I've never actually listened to the podcast much. All I know is like the whole Gluck 3000, 9000, whatever, the debacle. No, it's both, because it's like I listened to that segment today. It's like 9000 is like top tier, but it's just. But 3000 is still very good, okay. So depending on how good she does, she's either 3000.
I listened to the whole episode and I don't even remember this. Yeah. Actually, I listened to a couple of episodes because it was like trendy, like, Call Her Daddy was just kind of like becoming bigger or whatever. So I was like, oh, let me just give this a watch, like see what's up. And personally, it wasn't really for me. I found the podcast very like teenage orientated, almost very like. Nothing of like real substance, and like that sounds so bad, but like I don't know, for me it just wasn't like conversations that I would listen. Like it would just be like sitting down with the girls, and just like chatting random shit. But when I'm going to listen to a podcast, I want to like take something from it, like some hot takes on something, or learn something, like something new that I haven't heard before. And I felt like Call Her Daddy was very like teenage orientated, so I was like, oh, I can't really
but apparently it's different now, like now that it's just Father Cooper, that's what they call her.
Maybe that's just her. That's possible. That could be possibly, because I just listened today to Emma Chamberlain on Call Her Daddy, and it was a really good discussion. So like possibly, because I don't know, because I like Emma, so then like the whole discussion was around like Emma like growing up and Emma's career changing, so I was like, yeah, very focused and into it, but I didn't hear anything that's like Call Her Daddy specific. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore. Like I don't know if that was just a thing of the past.
I get what you mean. Yeah, I guess it's like, and that's the thing, like, we can't really like the whole Joe Rogan versus Color I can't really talk about because one, I don't really listen to either of them, so I don't really give a shit.
You don't listen to Joe?
Joe, have you tried DMT Rogan? Joe, I hunt elk Rogan. I just love those memes. Elk. You know, I love those. I love those memes. But I have no hate towards either of them anyway. So like, it's like makes no difference in my life. But you like Joe Rogan a lot.
I like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan has a lot of dumb takes and a lot of things I don't agree with. But I like the guests that he brings on. And I like how he's not afraid to ask questions and ask about things he doesn't know. So he's like, or even if he does know, like he asks questions in a certain way that like if the listener didn't know, they'll get more information, which is like, it's really nice to see, you know, because they're getting like the information that you want to hear out of someone. The conversation sometimes goes arse ways and you just end up chatting about random things as you would on a podcast. But usually, like, you know, the guests that he has on have interesting takes, and he has a lot of like, you know, scientists on the show, a lot of like experts in many different fields. So it's interesting listening to him, you know, and there are times when Ben Shapiro's on it and I'm like, kill someone, like, you know.
So the moral of the story is Nicoletta thinks if you listen to Joe Rogan, that is not a red flag.
It's not a red flag to me, no.
All right, I guess that's one takeaway from this anyway. But yeah,
do you think so? Do you think guys who listen to Joe Rogan are like a specific type of guy?
I feel like anyone is a specific type of anything. Like I feel like especially when you're that big, you have so many people from all different walks of life following you, you know, and stuff like that. So I feel like it's so hard to categorize people like that. I think it's like, oh, but like I can see where some of those TikToks are coming from because of certain things and aspects of like, you know, things that would be seen as male toxicity or whatever it is. But I feel like it's so overgeneralization to just paint everyone who listens to Joe Rogan as with a brush like that, you know, like everyone's different. Even Joe himself, like he talks about lots of different things from all different sides. So it's like one of those things that I feel like it's just absurd to like just paint everything, but obviously to each their own. Like I don't really give a shit about what you do. You know, all I know is I have my own opinion. I don't give a fuck about
yours. As long as you can hold your own. Like actually, did you see there was some like singer guy who removed all his music from Spotify? Yes, because of Joe Rogan's take on vaccines.
The cowboy dude or whatever, country guy.
Country.
Yeah. Whatever. I can't remember his name, but yeah, I saw that story today.
But yeah, because you know, all the comments were like, oh, like, you know, this won't do anything, and it's like who is this guy anyway? And I get that, but the point of it wasn't to remove Joe Rogan, who brings in like 10 times more money probably per month than he does in a year. I think it was just to like make other singers maybe aware so that they would remove their music, but
it's not happening.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. You might only have like 6 million monthly listeners, like in comparison to, and also Spotify spent so much money on acquiring Joe Rogan's podcast. They're not doing anything drastic like that.
How much are they giving him a year? Like
a lot. I think it was like something 100 million or whatever. Gee. I don't remember whatever that deal cut for,
nice.
But it was a crazy deal. It was an absolutely absurd deal. But like when you have the like number one podcast in the world, like
he is consistently actually on the charts, and even I'd say even if he isn't, like Spotify pushes his stuff for how much they paid anyway. So
absolutely, absolute fucking positively, like they're pushing his stuff.
Yeah, I believe that. I can see that.
Like they paid way too much money for them to just be chilling, you know. They need to get that return on investment. But yeah, no, this whole kind of like male podcast trending thing kind of started with the whole Joe Rogan thing, but what really set it off was you probably know yourself, Fresh and Fit. The two dudes, as some girls would say, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And some people are like dudes who are just spitting game, you know. Everyone's on different sides of the fence.
Have you listened to them much?
I have listened to a bit of Fresh and Fit. I will say full disclosure, I have never listened to a full episode of Fresh and Fit. I've seen like long clips, like we're talking maybe 20 minutes discussion, 30-minute discussion.
Not so long enough to make an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Though. And I've never seen like a full episode of it from start to finish.
Okay.
But, you know, it's one of those things that it's very interesting. Very, very interesting because it kind of started with them, you know, like first, like on me for TikTok, it's like a lot of the black community talking about Fresh Fit because of the whole, like they had this clip with this Pan-African guy, and essentially like he was saying that, oh, you guys don't like black women.
Yeah,
and
I literally saw that today.
Yeah, you guys don't like black women, blah blah blah, and they were like laugh. I think it's Fit. I don't know, the one that's light skin in comparison to
the bald guy.
Yeah, well, they both. Yeah, him.
Does one like have tattoos like?
No, but like the lighter guy anyway. I think he's Fit. I think the dark one is Fresh. Right.
I don't know.
But either way, yeah, him. So, and he was kind of like laughing or smirking, and everyone, all the black people in the comments were giving him shit and everything like that, you know, and because that's a whole topic for another day, like, you know, that's inside our community, and like it's just sad to see whatever, and so like that was just like, and rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And then the way they talk about men and women's roles, you know, I think we both have very different opinions, like where it is, where
I think it depends them. Like we'll get into that, but finish.
And then but obviously like it's kind of like they've been the hot topic of discussion, but it must be great for their fucking numbers, honestly. Like absolutely. 100%. Like there are people who have never heard of Fresh or Fit till now, and now they're fucking watching them the entire time, you know. So it's pretty interesting. Like the whole idea behind them, to be fair, is they talk about giving men the tools to survive in this current world, as in like
women,
you know, with women. Like not as in like, if you want to get women, you need to have success, you know, and all these other things that women would need and require, whatever, like essentially, you know,
provide for them,
like, and all that. So it's like, and the whole trade-off of this, that, XYZ, you know. So that's kind of like a little synopsis of what Fresh and Fit is. Feel free to check them out yourselves and make your own opinion. Obviously, we just talk about our own opinions in here. We're not out here fucking stating anything as fact. But yeah, no. So it's kind of crazy, but everything is kind of stemmed from them. Like first it was in the black community, and then I think obviously some white people saw the clips of them, and then, you know, they made their own thing. It mixed with the Joe Rogan thing and everything at the same time. So it's perfect for this trend to start, you know, at this time, you know, with all of these guys talking about this, talking about that, and talking about being a high value man and whatever.
It kind of reminds me of that meme that's like, oh, if I walk into a guy's room and I see a microphone, I'm just praying he's a SoundCloud rapper and not, he doesn't have a podcast.
He doesn't have a podcast. Well, ladies,
if you curvy with a big bunda, slide into his DMs.
But yeah, no. So, well, let's start with the whole thing that Fresh and Fit preach. One of the main core things is high value man versus kind of like a woman's value, and then like kind of how they're like, you need to be XYZ to get women, and women's value is like based off there's like two ways to perceive it. If you only want her just for sex, obviously then it's a situation of just like, is she worth it, like whatever, and if it's more than that, like what is she bringing to the table, beside, like, as in, like, she has her past should be very reduced, and by past is she has less sexual partners in the past, you know, kind of thing. So like, let's kind of dive into that, because I know you've watched a few thing, or you've started listening to them anyway as of recently.
So I saw actually with Spotify that put out a TikTok from Brittany Renner, and the Fresh and Fit, what was the podcast they're on?
Off the Record by Academics. Yeah. So
they're on that, and that's where I listened to that whole thing, because the clip that Spotify put out was Brittany Renner, you know, completely smoking them. It was that like small clip where she was like, oh, what type of woman am I, you know?
Oh yes,
you know
that
piece.
That piece. So, yeah. So
that piece blew up, so I was like, oh, I need to watch this whole thing. Like, what's the story? And I did, and like, I found the conversation between them a lot more mature than I expected. And this was the first time that I encountered them, you know?
That episode definitely, I will say, is a lot different from the episodes where they have a group, different types of girls on their podcast, and then like girls who aren't willing to challenge them as much as Brittany did challenge them in the podcast.
I thought it was really, you know, like, it was really good, but at the same time, I feel like she could have gotten a lot more said than she did, because I feel like the pieces where she was very vocal were just at the very start, and that's all you like got to see, unless you like heard the full thing, and things got a bit more mellow, and there was just a lot of like agreement. And I was like, okay, like, they're very mature, like what's the story? So I saw a couple of their TikTok clips, and I was like, this is not the guys I saw on the podcast.
No, absolutely
Like,
not.
oh my God, their takes are ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely
This doesn't even make sense.
No, their takes is ridiculous. So, like, tell us what you think about the whole high value man and then women's value. So, like, just like for the people listening in and watching, essentially the idea is that a high value man is a guy who can provide, as in whether he has money and fame, whatever it is, you know, that he's in the position at which he's a provider, as in he can do this, do that. And essentially, it is the woman benefiting by being with him, you know? Essentially, the only thing the woman can offer him is a sexual favor, you know? Like, but in reality, like, because he has everything he needs. He, like, you know, he has the money, he has the fame or whatever. Like, but the idea is that he's a high value man. He's someone who is worth being with, you know? Like, women want him. And then a woman's value is obviously, like, sexual favors or even the situation of, like, if you really want a family, then you gotta have a low body count overall, and you have to be able to do XYZ, whatever. Like, obviously, like they phrase these differently. Obviously, like they like one thing I will say, like in that Brittany Renner thing, they said the whole thing of like, oh, if you are a girl who wants this, like, yes, use your looks to your advantage to get this or whatever, but don't lie that you're not. Like, that's one thing that they say, you know, or whatever. So it's not like they're against women doing that. They're just saying that women should be open or say that they do it and not trying to be like they're special when they're like every other girl or whatever. Those are like other things that they touched on in the episode, and I was like, what the hell? But I personally, full disclosure, I really do not like their takes. I think they take like a little bit of what is somewhat true of reality, because in some minority situation, and then they take it and run with it like full, as in like all women are like this and all men are like need to do this or whatever. Where I feel like obviously like part of it is true, part of it is not, but I'm just like, it's bozo activity, as me and Boss would say every time I see like some of those clips.
So I'm just gonna say, right, because in the Brittany Renner situation, like the way they kind of put it out on the table was basically that like you know, women are always going to look for someone who is like has something to him, like, you know, he has to like provide in some sort of way or whatever, you know, whereas like females only have like, and they do have caring and love and stuff like that, and like if you're able to get a guy, you know, on your side or whatever and like hook him in and you're just like his main girl, essentially, you shouldn't think of it as that deep if he's like having sex with other girls, because like, you know, it's just sex. Like, sex doesn't matter to guys. Yeah. You know, and stuff like that. And like, actually, like, what's your opinion on that then? Like,
that's wild.
Does this? What is
absolutely wild? Like, that is absolutely ludicrous. Like, I get. It's kind of like goes back to the whole thing of like that quote that they said essentially is like, or whoever said, I can't remember, so I don't want to put any words in anyone. It's like, a man of success will not be faithful to you.
No, I sent you this. I sent you this morning. It was a man of success is not going to be faithful to you sexually. Yeah. And this is exactly what I wanted to ask you. Yeah.
So like that thing is a whole, I completely disagree with that. Okay. Like I agree in the sense that tends to happen a lot of the time, majority of the time in the world we currently live in, as in like guys who are super famous, like let's use the examples they were using, NBA players, right? Yeah. Like they're like majority of NBA players are out here with one girl and they're fucking lots of bitches. They're lots, and even if you're with them, more than likely they're gonna be sleeping with other girls. You know, they go on games, sleep with other girls, but you're the main girl that's at home, and they give you essentially money allowance to spend whatever, and that should be enough for you to look the other way. You know, I think that's a lot of bullshit. If you're doing that, you're a bozo, right? What's the point of being with a girl and having her as quote unquote your main girl, whatever you want to say? And it's like, oh, but you're out here sleeping around and doing whatever, you know, like I feel like this is bozo activity, right? Okay. You know, and you're like paying her to like just look the other way, essentially, you know?
I mean, like to him, it's not paying her. It's like providing for her, you know, providing her with this lifestyle, like whatever.
You're providing
buying her a Birkin bag,
providing her with this lifestyle. Shut the fuck up. honestly, it's a bozo statement. It's a bozo activity, right? Like, feel free. I ain't like, bro, like, fact check me on this, right? As in, like, in the sense, like, even if we get famous, I still stand by this point that it's bozo activity.
But here's the thing.
You know?
Here's the thing. See what you just said? You said if we get famous. What if just you gets famous? Like, and it's a lot of what ifs, but essentially, like, I don't think they're saying, like, a successful man with a successful woman. They're saying, like, a successful man with, like, your average woman, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's, like, it kind of comes back to what they were saying about, like, oh, a man is willing to settle for someone who's not as successful as them, but a woman, like, really isn't. So then, like, are you then, like, going, you know?
But then, what do you think in the situation of that statement, that a successful man is willing to settle for someone that's not? Like, men are willing to punch downwards for people, like, financially, whatever, whereas women will only want a guy that's at least at their level or above.
Silence. Yeah,
because the silence is law. Nicola thinks it's true. Absolutely.
Like, I'm just gonna be straight up. I don't think, like, ambition matters, right? Like, people go through rough times. 100% you go through a rough time, a rough patch, you lose your job, blah blah blah, COVID happened, and, like, that's perfectly fine, you know, as long as you have the, like, drive to, like, go, like, build yourself up and want more for yourself, not for me, for our family, but, like, for yourself. Like, do it for you, you know what I mean? So I don't think I could settle for someone who's, like, doing it, like, you know, less than me. I like, if that makes sense.
So essentially what they're saying, that you want someone at least at your level or more.
How about you? Are you willing to settle for someone who's not as successful as you?
Damn, look, I'm doing it right now, aren't I?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, but no, for real. Like, I don't think it's that deep. I think
to you, because you're male.
Yeah, obviously. Say that. Obviously, like, I think that is one of the points that I do think is more true generally. Like, I don't think it's true 100% of the time, but I do think it is true. I think more like a lot of the time, a guy has no problem. Like, a guy will be literally a billionaire and he would get with or provide for a homeless girl just because he thought she was attractive, right? And he cared for her, or whatever reason he chooses, okay. Right?
But would he provide for, like, a 40-year-old woman that was less than him?
And is he young? If he's attracted to her.
No, he's, like, older.
Oh yeah, but I don't know. Like, I think it's just based on each. I think guys are more open to providing for whoever. Okay. They feel whether it's only lustful or whether it's love, whatever it is for them, they're willing to provide, right? You guys just have that mentality. I do believe that most of the time girls do not want a guy that is making less money than them. And this could just be based off where I live, where the girls I've interacted with. Like, most girls I know do not want guys that are making less money than them. They want guys that are either on equal footing with them or more. It's very rare that there have been girls I've met that they just don't care. Like, they'll date a broke boy. Like, they'll pay for everything for him. They'll do everything just because they genuinely care for him, right? But, and the funny thing is, I've seen a lot of those stories online of, like, oh, I really cared for him, so he essentially just, like, abused me, in the sense that, like, he just took my money. I was always paying for stuff for him. I was always doing all X, Y, and Z for him, and he just never did anything in return. And then he left me and cheated on me, right? You've seen a lot of those stories. So obviously, there are girls who have no problem getting a guy who is less than them in, like, financially or whatever in way of life. But I think most of the time girls are not interested in, like, having the broke boy, quote unquote. Yeah. They don't want the broke boy. They want the guy who is at least there. And then, but the thing is, they go on to say, like, kind of in the sense of, like, most girls don't want the average guy. Like, they say the average man isn't wanted anymore, right? Yeah. The average girl wants a high value man. And so every average guy is screwed, because even average girls want a high value man, you know? So it's one of those things that they're like, essentially, if you're not a high value man, you might as well forget about the dating scene.
Is that because average girls get high value men? So they're like, why not me?
Yeah, I think, because as we said, like, guys are willing to get someone less than them.
That's the thing, because I think there's been a lot more like trendy to, you know, shoot up a lot more.
Well, I think it's because people see all these luxurious lifestyles on YouTube or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a lot
social
more
media,
publicized, like,
you know, and they're like, oh my God, I want that. Why
my
can't
man isn't doing that?
Yeah, they're like, why can't I just freaking, you know, be with this guy, sleep with him, and then like I get flown to freaking Turks and Caicos and fucking get manicures, pedicures every morning, like, you know, type of thing. So they're like, why come she can do it? You know, I just need to get myself some guy as well.
Yeah, I mean, why can't I do that? You know, if other women are doing it, like, why not me?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like one of those things where it's a situation like you think about it and you're like, oh my God, all these girls are like this, that. But thing is, like, I don't know how frequently like it is. Like, I think there are girls who obviously do want like more than what their level is at.
Yeah.
But I don't think like every girl out here is being like, yo, I want a Drake, you know?
Oh, well, I think a lot more women, more and more every day, want a Drake, because like I think this whole world of like social media and seeing everything online and seeing how well off other girls can get it, like, you know, sometimes like you see some girls, you're like, she's pretty beat up, you know, and she made it like quite far and like she's doing quite well, and it's like, why not me then? And it's like, it's kind of giving, it's, first of all, social media is so fake, like you only see the highlights and whatever, like for all you know, she was in Dubai eating shit, but like on her story, like, you know, like on her story, it's like, oh my God, whatever. But you see that's what I'm saying, like you see this and you're comparing your personal life and you're like, well, I can't even afford to, I don't know, go to Dublin for the weekend or whatever. So, you know, that whole like social comparison like matters, and I think just a lot of girls who are with, you know, these well-off guys, they're like publicizing everything, so it's hard not to. You're like, they're living the life I wish I had. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then I guess then it comes to the situation of like saying the whole thing then is it a situation that if girls do feel like that, then it's like one thing they say is like, the thing is those girls want to have their cake and eat it too. They want that guy, they want that lifestyle, but they're not willing to quote unquote submit to the man. They're not willing to listen to what he has to say, and they give little feedback whereas they're saying, you need to, because you want that, because he's providing that for you, you should shut the fuck up and just listen to what I say, you know. Essentially, you know, like those are from some of the clips I've seen. Like, I could be completely wrong here, but from the current context I have, right? Okay. You know, but then, and all these things, like, what do you then think about that part?
So the bit that I saw actually was they were saying like, not so much like submit to what they have to say, but it's like, accept that sexually they're going to want to be with other people, they're not going to be faithful to you, and you just have to accept that because you're a successful man. That I don't agree with, like, or whatever. And I don't agree with submitting to him either, like.
Actually, let's say, because you do agree with the whole like whatever value, all that stuff, right? Why isn't it okay from your perspective that, because realistically, they're doing everything you want them to do. They're providing for you. They're doing whatever. So why can't you just shut up and let them go sleep with other people? And because it means nothing. At least you're the main one that sleep in the house, you know, and having a good time. So like, why shouldn't they be able to do? Because if you agree with the other part, why wouldn't you agree with this?
Well, hang on, hold on. Okay, so Brittany also had a take on this, and I completely agree with her. I think if these things are discussed from the start, like if you're here being like, yo, can we be in an open relationship? Like, whatever. Can we...
Nah, they don't want you to sleep with other guys. You can only sleep with them.
Yeah, but what if he's like, I want to be with other people, right? I want to explore.
No. As in, like, he's like, I'm going to sleep with other people, but you cannot touch any other guy.
So that's the thing. Like, let me know what you want, but don't, like, be sneaky about it. Don't go behind my back and then just, like, do all these things and cheat on me. And,
Tristan Thompson?
Yeah. You know, anyone? No, remember him? Like, just be straight up about it. Just, like, tell me, like, you know, you want to include other people in the bedroom. You want to just be by yourself in the bedroom with other people, but not me. Like, whatever it is, I think you should discuss these things and not just be like, well, you should expect it because I'm an NBA player and I bring in this much money. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know, like, what do you think? Like,
no,
do you think you should have if you're a successful man, and you are a successful man, right? Do you have the right? Do you have the right to go sleep around with anyone and cheat on me? Because at the end of the day, you come home to me.
No, I don't think so. But I think that's more a question of like where your loyalties lie, and I mean, trying to be faithful to the person at which you've chosen to be your partner. You know, I think if you looked at it from that cold, calculated point of view of like, oh, I'm the person bringing more to the table, so I should be the one who has control. If you look at it from that perspective and you agree with that perspective, I would say you were right. I'd say you could do that. You're like, I'm within my goddamn right. I'm giving you everything you want.
Do you think so?
I feel like
okay. So to what extent would you?
I think if you look at it from that perspective, but I don't agree with that perspective though. I think if you look at it, a relationship at a point as a point of exchange, right? As in, I give you this, you give me that, right? So in the anime I love, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, right? The law of equivalent exchange doesn't work there because it's like you have to give something to get something, right?
Okay.
And it has to be of equivalent. So like 1 gram of this equals 1 gram of that, or so on and so forth, right?
Hang on. Then does this mean to you that you bringing in like 100K a year equals you bossing me around all year round? They don't equate.
I think guys who think like that would probably equate that.
Yeah, but do you think?
I do not think that.
Okay, I don't think it.
No, I've already said that. I don't agree with any of this. I'm saying if you looked at it from that perspective, I can understand why you would believe.
No, I think I would understand things like, oh, I expect her to keep the house clean, cook if she's like stay at home, like, you know, clean. If there's kids, mind the kids, and like do these kind of like tasks around the house or whatever. Yeah. But I don't think it means owning someone like a fucking slave.
Oh, absolutely. But I think from their perspective, it's more of a situation of like this. Like, for example, and it's not just about money now. This is about money and fame kind of thing. As in, like, for example, we're using the example of an NBA player, right? The NBA players bring a lot to your life. They're bringing you not just all these money and fancy holidays. They're bringing you exposure that you never would have gotten in the first place. They're,
if you want to.
You're getting, yeah, obviously, and like, and you're getting like this essentially like bravado about yourself, being like, oh, this is my partner, you know. Everyone's like, this is like, wow, you're so amazing, you're so cool, look, this is your NBA boyfriend, NBA husband, whatever it is, right? You know, like to people it's deep.
To some people, yeah.
So you're not getting just physical currency, you're getting social currency too.
That's the best way to put status.
It, you know.
Yes,
you're getting both a large amount of physical currency because you're getting money, and you're also getting a large amount of social currency because as you wish upon it, you automatically get the fame, the whatever that comes along with being with this person, right?
If he decides to take you out in public.
Exactly.
Keep you low key.
So essentially, they look at it like, oh, that comes with the territory then. Because you're getting all this amazing things in return, what is it for you to care about for me to sleep around? Like, you shouldn't care because I'm giving you so much and you're giving me so little in return in comparison. I should have within all my rights.
So someone's love and affection is so little.
But that's what I'm saying. People like that, that's what they look at it like. But I think it's wrong. I think it makes no sense. As in, like, you need to...
Make no sense.
Like, yes, one person brings more to the table. Okay. I can agree with that. Like, if someone brings more to the table, like, there can be some imbalancing issues there. But it shouldn't be a problem of balance. It should be a thing because you genuinely care for someone. And like, despite the fact, full disclosure again, I don't really give a shit about Brittany Renner because obviously I understand, like she even talked about in the podcast that she regrets all the stuff she did in the past and whatever those things, but it's a bit out there, you know, and especially the most recent thing with the child, that kind of makes it's iffy for me, right?
But because I don't want to move on from this because like I think the stuff she apologized about, which is important to highlight, is she basically was saying how like, oh, I used to be like, oh fuck man, you know, like kill all men, like we don't need no man. meanwhile looking for meaningful, like, meanwhile, like, the future that she wanted was with a man. So
well, it wasn't even just meaningful is what she said, but out in public, she was saying that she was sleeping around and she just wanted money, and then she was like essentially showing herself off like as a gold digger.
Yeah, but I think it was then after a while she realized that she wanted like a family and like kids and like to settle down with someone, and it was just like, oh, like, I used to be like, oh, fuck all men, and then later on like realized that like I need a man to like, you know, settle down with
or whatever. Yeah, but anyway, like, I did agree with her point that she had of the sense as in like it's what all this high value man woman's value thing, like at what point does emotional connection and all these other currencies come into play? You know, honestly, at what point do those come into play? Because yes, you can bring them all the money in the world, you can bring them all the social currency in the world, but at the end of the day, like, if you're feeling some connection with someone, all of that shouldn't matter shit. It should be a situation that you're like, I care about this person, I enjoy being with them, and so you're like choosing that over all the meaningless bullshit otherwise, you know, all the physical world stuff, you know, because you genuinely care about this person. So it's like one of those things that I'm like, I agree with her in that sense. I'm like, that should trump that imbalance that might exist in your relationship, right? Like, if there's a big physical or social currency imbalance, the general love you should have for each other should trump that, so it shouldn't matter then.
I think, and I agree, and I think from Fresh Fish, whatever it is, what I really dislike about the way they portray like their thoughts about like men and stuff, it's like painting men as incapable of having feelings for women and like being loyal to them because they want to, not because it's like, oh, I'm not capable of being loyal. Like, what? And then it's like, oh, painting. Actually, this is something like I want to like ask about as well. Like, they were saying how like, oh, sex is meaningless. Like, men just go around like have sex wherever, it means nothing. But like, what about you as a man? Doesn't mean nothing to you?
I'd say for most dudes, like who are single and it's random hookup, I would say it's meaningless for most dudes.
No, because they were saying like, expect that in a relationship with a man.
Yeah, obviously, like in a relationship, it's completely different. Obviously, like it should, like when it's with someone you care about, genuinely love, like it's not meaningless, obviously, you know, and that from like my perspective, like, but obviously maybe to others, like, you know, when I like, it's one of those things, like maybe I'm not a high value enough man, you know, that maybe if you are a high value enough man and you literally have hundreds of girls at your doorstep constantly wanting to be with you, at that point that sex is meaningless, you know, like maybe to you it is, but I'll say from my humble wherever I am on the scale of value of man, I think it's not meaningless. Like obviously I think it's a different story, like that's I would understand more if they came from a point of like, if you're single, then it is meaningless. Like most people, it's just single hookup. Like you don't remember the person's name, you don't give a shit, you don't.
Yeah,
whatever.
and I think, you know, like with hookup culture, it's becoming a lot more. Like you're seeing a lot more popular with women as well. So like women participate, everyone's participating, like whatever. But the way they were portraying it as like in a relationship man, it's like, well, you should be grateful he's coming home to you. But like if you had sex with someone, like who cares? Who cares? It means nothing anyway. And it's like, well, you're painting all men as incapable of having meaningful relationships. Like
yeah, I think it's one of those things that like, and the whole thing of like a woman's it's like a woman's value is defined on how
her past.
I was trying to remember the specific quote of like how they say it, but essentially it's down the line of a woman's value represents her like past or whatever, and a man's value is like his potential future, you know, that type of thing.
I remember that line,
you know. So like that kind of thing, and I'm just there like, that is very like, obviously people disagree. Like there are guys who are like, oh, I don't want a girl who, and we kind of talked to this on like a different podcast or so. There are guys who are like, I don't want a girl if she has a high body count, right? But I will die on this hill all the time is, you cannot say that if you yourself have a high body count. You can, I truly believe full metal alchemist in the law of equivalent exchange, right? If you have 5 bodies, you cannot want a girl with any, like, yes, you can want a girl to have less than 5 bodies, but you cannot demand or feel icked because your girl has more than 5 bodies. Why? Because you yourself have 5 bodies. You yourself.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, oh my God, you slept with 5 people, it's like, but you slept with 5 people
yeah,
too.
or 10.
You know? So, like, obviously, like, your partner needs to fall within your range, right?
Yeah.
Like, now, like, obviously, this is putting an extreme scenario, but let's say your partner then has 6 bodies. You're like, sorry, I can't be with you because you have 6 bodies, I have 5. Even though that sounds stupid as hell, I would agree with it because, hey, he has 5 bodies, you have 6. It's whatever, right? I believe that that's the rule I tend to follow, right?
What if
but
she's
I
like,
think you shouldn't care at all.
Yeah.
But obviously, that if you are going to care, you have to care within that parameters of like lower than what you have and maximal of what you have or whatever.
What if she's like, I don't remember, and the guy's like, well, I don't
Liar.
remember. No, listen, what if she's like, I don't remember my body count, and the guy's like, I don't remember either, but I'm gonna be with you because I know that your don't remember is higher than my don't remember, or some shit like that. I bet guys would twist and turn like that.
I don't know, like, it's kind of like wild when you think of things like that. But no, honestly, like, I think it's just
so obviously, like, you have guys as friends, and like, you when you sit down with the boys and discuss these things, like,
sorry, I'm not allowed to put out trade secrets.
We're here discussing like, you know,
joking,
body
continue,
counts and stuff, like, and like does this topic come up as something that matters?
Like, some guys I know do care about body count. They're like, ew, I do not want to go with a high body count, even though they're out here absolutely running through the entire town.
Yeah, it's always the ones who've been run through,
you know. But and then there are dudes who have never even touched on. They're like, I don't give a shit about body count. But then there are people who have been run through and they're like, oh, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, everyone's different, obviously. Like, it doesn't matter, you know. Like, but then the one thing I hate, I think you know what's coming up, is that stupid key and lock analogy.
Don't.
Oh my God, calling me a fucking bitch, call me a pussy boy, call me a fucking feministic. I'm not feminist, by the way. I'm just like I just don't care.
Love.
I don't care for labels. I don't give a shit. I just do whatever the fuck I want, you know. But
how am I supposed to live, laugh in these conditions?
How am I meant to live, laugh in this? I just, you know, because I feel like when you label yourself as whatever it is, you get the positive and the negative sides of it. You know, I think you should just be your own person and have your own things.
But that's not to say he's against like female.
Oh,
rights,
absolutely, yeah. Oh
like,
God, I'm super progressive. Don't get that twisted. Someone's gonna clip that.
I'm not a feminist.
They're gonna clip the "I'm not a feminist" part, and then boom, Farouk is cancelled all over the internet. You know,
before our podcast even gets to take off,
literally, like, they're gonna clip that. You know, even though I'm out here actually voting on, like, fucking hell, but it's so funny. That's how the internet works. You know, someone's gonna they literally only listen to that part and then they'll start furiously typing, you know. But
he's not a feminist,
you know. But no, it's a situation of like, that key and lock analogy pisses me off, boys. It
Go
really
on, say
does.
It. Just say it.
A key that opens many locks is a master key, but a lock that can be opened by many keys is a shit lock. I'm like, fucking hell, that's dumb. One, right? I know it sounds fancy and like, ooh, yeah, that kind of makes sense, you know. I actually saw an interesting TikTok by a locksmith being like, yo, this actually doesn't even work in the world of actual locking, you know, whatever and stuff. That like, because the idea is that a lock that can be opened with many keys is actually a very intricate lock, because it means it has to be able to open to many different types of grooves and stuff like that, and it's very intricate to make those type of locks, you know.
Actually,
yeah. So, and stuff like that, you know.
Another point I saw to this story, just to feed this dumb story, was like, oh, but not everyone has a master key. Like, it's very few people who have like master keys. So like, who are they guys to talk about like, you know, opening many locks? Like,
because like, let's be honest, you've seen one lock in your life and you didn't even get to touch it. So like, you know, so like, I don't know why you're chatting there, lad. But no, like, that analogy is so stupid. It just hurts my brain every time I hear it. Like, you know, all that kind of shit is just wild to me. And I think,
I can't believe that they use this like middle school analogy as like argument, like hard facts, bro. This is facts. Like,
no, it's wild. Like, I think honestly, that key and lock analogy is overworn and overplayed.
It's overstated.
It's overstated its welcome. And like a lot of dudes are gonna be out there looking at me right now and calling me a beta cock. They're gonna be like,
there's no way.
They're
there's
like,
just no
you
way.
are a bitch and you're just, because you're on the internet, you're being safe or whatever, or you're an SJW. I'll tell you right now, I'm the most not safe for work person that you'll ever meet. All right, don't let this podcast fool you. But at the same time, I'm also not a fucking idiot.
I mean, I don't think I think this podcast, if anything, like it's highlighting what you think.
Yeah, like honestly,
in real life anyway.
I think it's silly. I think it's silly. I think and like this is kind of like my final law on the whole thing. I think the whole idea of expecting women to be this, expecting them to be that, and expecting men to be this and expecting men to be that. I'm the best middleman person you'll ever meet. I never pick a side. I always pick in the middle. I show all sides. I look from all perspectives. But like, I think it's dumb. I think women should not be in a situation where they're like, only expecting the guy to do X, Y, Z and everything above, right? But at the same time, if you want that, do that. It's going to be hard because you're fighting against every other bitch that's trying to do that as well, all right? And then you're like, oh my God, you're dealing with that. And then on the opposite side, if you're a guy and you're doing the whole, I only want a girl that for sex, for whatever, all right, go do that. But you're also fighting against every other dickhead that's trying to do that too.
Yeah.
Two sides of the same coin, polar opposites, same energy, right? Like you can do whatever you want, but don't put other people down for doing it. Don't be dumb and being like, oh, because of this, I have X power over you. If that's how you set up your dynamic, that's a different story, right? If you set up your relationship like that, that's a whole different story. But don't be being like, oh, the moment you sign up to a relationship, this is what you should expect because XYZ. Set it up like that. Like as you said,
talk it out.
These are the things you communicate at the start of the relationship. It's not things you just do randomly.
I think
right?
most people just aren't mature enough to communicate full stop. Let alone like someone who's like a celebrity. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna explain myself to you. Just expect it, yeah.
Yeah, and shit like that is wild. Like honestly, like we're all grown ass adults here. Like, is this so hard?
Yeah.
For all of us to think rationally in these situations,
Yeah.
To be like, maybe I can think differently about some of these things. Just think about it, but like once again, in the end of the day, no hate to Fresh and Fit, despite the fact that some of your clips makes me look at you guys and I just instantly go bozo.
No, legit.
Some clips make me just go bozo.
It's giving like,
but
I'm alpha and like like what are those college in the US?
The frat boys.
The frat boy house, with the cap backwards. Oh my God, like that guy from TikTok that's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. He does the like the pretend to be a frat boy and he's so good at it. Yeah. That guy, I fucking love it.
Except like it's just like it's very toxic masculinity as much as like I hate even saying that, like, but it is, it's so like, it's like even the key and lock analogy, the fact that they just use that and like so many red flags. And that's why I was so surprised when in the chat that they had with Brittany, they were like, they were like quite mature.
Yeah, they were quite honestly,
the
podcast with Academics, even though Academics himself is also a freaking little flip-flopping boy. But and I'll say that on my chest.
Yeah, you're not letting him get away.
I'm saying I don't think I forgot about you. And the thing is, get this clip, let it go for. I don't give a shit. I will say all this to anybody's face, no matter how famous or not famous I am, because I don't give a fuck. My opinion is my own opinion. I can have it if I want. Period. Pushing P.
That's very P of you.
Yeah, but yeah, no, honestly, like it's one of those things.
So, okay. This is something else that they said, okay? And we were just talking about social media. We were talking about putting everything online, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Does having an Instagram in a relationship, does it count as cheating?
Yeah, absolutely. Slut. Whore. No. That's another clip right there.
Yeah.
No.
Taken out of context.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, but why would it be cheating?
I don't know. That's just what they said, bro.
Where did you see this? I've never seen that clip.
It's because I'm recently listening to a new one that they put out, and it was a bunch of girls there. I think this is where they mention it. It's like, oh yeah, if she has an Instagram in a relationship, bro, like she's cheating. like, why does she still have it? She's looking for that validation.
Oh, I guess like the whole wanting other males' validations or attention, but then you can also have the whole thing of like how girls go they do for the days and the gays, the she's, whatever, that like analogy that they say, and but like once again, like I think people can do whatever the fuck they want and still be faithful. Like,
does it matter to you?
Doesn't matter to me. Here's a little assignment for you. Go to my Instagram, then go to Nicola's Instagram, and then ask me again if it matters to me. Then you'll have your answer.
Fair enough. I just thought I'd ask, bro. Get your opinion.
Yeah, no, honestly, it does not matter to me at all. Like, I think, like, why the fuck do I give a shit? Like, what my girl does is what my girl does. Like, it has no effect. As long as she's not out here fucking speaking ill on my name. Like, it's all
What if I was putting out the, like half naked pictures online?
Like, are you making money off it?
Not yet.
Oh, then you're wasting your time.
It's not about
much not
time.
Getting paid for it.
It doesn't matter to you.
No, but it would matter that you're putting out free content when you can charge people for it on OnlyFans.
This guy.
Money rules the fucking world.
That's okay. That's valid.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no. Let us know, honestly, like kind of like your takes on all the things we mentioned. I know it's kind of been like a bit out there, all over the place, but kind of like you get the general gist of it. You get the topic, and like tell us what you think about this whole. And it's not even about Fresh and Fit. They're not the core thing about it. It's just this whole ideology, like the whole series of ideologies, and what your take is. Do you agree with it? You don't agree? Are you in the middle? Kind of thing. And, it'd be interesting to see what everyone else is thinking when it comes to this kind of topic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, let us know what you think, and give us your own point of views and everything. And we'll see you next time.
Till next time.
Peace.